Welcome to PhD with Women on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Leszek W Król. Today is also my birthday, so what could be a better topic than how to create mobile applications with Flutter even. Episode 45 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you are building mobile applications with Flutter. A framework like Flutter allows you to build mobile applications for iOS and Android in a truly platform-independent way. With one programming language and one code base, users can create beautifully natively compiled mobile applications with this user interface toolkit. Developers consider it to be the fastest and most expressive way to build native apps. Due to its simplicity, high performance resulting from its development, rich user interface, Flutter will have a significant impact on the development of high-quality, feature-packed mobile applications in the near future. In this week's episode, we are joined by Leszek W Król, initiator and founder of the University of Games, owner of STRIXSPACE, author, and an enthusiast in designing strategies and developing technology products and services. Leszek actively participates in many national and international conferences and scientific seminars and is very passionate when it comes to new technologies. He's also a friend of mine and also a very avid supporter of Mission to Run business. That's how we met back in Poland in 2014, Leszek?
2014, exactly.
There you go. Time flies when you're enjoying your company. Join us as we discuss topics including pros and cons of Flutter, why you should work with it, and how you can get started, and most importantly, where you find more information and how to get started to learn Flutter. Leszek, where in the world are you today?
I'm in Poland at the moment, in Olsztyn. How are you? Hello, everyone. Hi, Beata. Good to see you. It's been a while, but I'm very pleased to participate in today's meeting.
Leszek, you're also one of the co-founders of our latest baby, which is Hanseatic.
That's right.
That has not been mentioned, and we also had good fun creating first mobile application for one of our clients. So, Leszek, what can we learn, and how can we learn how to create mobile applications with Flutter? What would you say? What are its benefits?
To start talking about the Flutter, we need to think why it's important to me, I think. Because from my perspective, Flutter is really good technology because the market is expanding, it's evolving very quickly. We need to find really reliable technology to create a prototype application based to the rapid development, and Flutter allow us to do that. I was constantly looking for a solution that would be flexible enough to make a clickable prototype. There's several other frameworks on the market, but each of them requires some effort to make a first step. Flutter cut that time to, let's say, 0. And based on that, when Flutter appeared, in the few clicks, I can start working on the prototype of product to my client. This relatively cut the time of the development, the first stage of the development, and that's why the Flutter became so popular.
So, Leszek, how did you learn about Flutter? What was your steps to learn this new exciting platform?
It's hard to say because I instantly looking at new solutions on the market. instantly growing and changing rapidly the environment which I working with every day. And I read something about Dart, the language based on the Flutter, and based on that knowledge, I'm start looking what is Flutter, who made Flutter, and after that I read that it's based developed by Google, and for me it's will be enough because it's made a credibility that it's easily adaptive to mobile, web, and desktop because Google is working on that. And I start reading. Google is also expanding a lot of the documentations, the free videos on the YouTube, how to create a new your first application in Flutter. And based on that materials, I start working on my prototype, my first playable prototype of something. And after that, I realized that it's really easy tool, really flexible tool, and easy to learn. And I'm start working in couple of projects using Flutter.
So you trust Google, but we know that some of the projects they kind of dumped. What would happen if?
Yep. I trust Google because they would like to rapidly jump over the React. React have a React framework have a really good and stable framework, but all the dependencies, the other libraries are made by users. If user just I don't know, for example, make some strange change in the code, he could break our system. Flutter with Google, he's trying to make a credibility that all the libraries is verified somehow by Google, and that's made for us more stable solution for developers.
Fabulous. Thank you, Leszek, for reminding us that community is very important part, not just when you're building mobile apps, but also when you are having good fun joining us on Positivity Hacks Delivered, because we have got Agata Bellan, we have got In Love and in Pain, we have got lovely comments coming all together via Facebook, YouTube, and if there is anybody watching us right now on LinkedIn, please chip in and say hello, happy birthday, or happy new year, or happy Positivity Hacks Delivered. Hello, Beata and Leszek. So happy PhD is back. I missed you, Beata. I missed you too in Love and in Pain. I hope this year it's gonna be very, very successful, exciting, whatever you wish for. Everyone, including our lovely guest. So, Leszek, you keep learning new stuff. You're hungry for new development or new knowledge. How do you keep yourself focused on whatever you're doing? I'm sorry I'm diving into a different kind of topic, but it's really fascinating because the number of times you told me about this new development and blockchain and cryptography and whatever, I'm really amazed.
I'm jumping from my birth, let's say, because I always want to do something more. That's why when I was 10, I'm starting developing my first computer games. But everything is based on my methodology, let's say. I call it like a perspective change. When we are stuck on one problem for a long time, we lose concentration. Then it affects on our objectivity. It's like drawing one picture, the same picture, let's say, for years without having the idea how we can draw that picture. And while implementing many projects in my life, I noticed that development consists of small steps. When we see it, making that small steps, when we see it, when creating a product or website or something, we have to take a dozen of smaller steps to go from start to finish, to develop the full working project, website, the book or something. And when we get to a place where we do not know what to do next, and it takes more time to find information how to do that, I always throw it away. That's okay, I leave it for now, but I'm jumping to in the next couple of days. If I'm having a few different things unrelated to each other, I could develop faster in long term because I learn something new in different areas and jump back to the topic when I don't have an idea how to push forward. And I think our brains know the answers for every questions, but sometimes it's required to return a problem with different experience with different areas. That's why
Yeah, or engage our brain. That's also
exactly.
definitely one of the things we can do to instill us with some inspiration. Speak about inspiration. We have got very inspiring question from In Love and in Pain. Can you use Flutter without coding?
It's hard to say because Flutter without coding cannot be used, but the Dart language is pretty easy to learn because the developers with minimal coding experience and could start learning Dart. And there's a lot of really step-by-step tutorials made by Google, and it's pretty enough to start doing something. With a little fascinating the topic, but we cannot jump over the programming using Flutter.
Well, that means our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall, by Confucius' beautiful quotation, but also trying to do things rather than just expecting that something will come miraculously. So, in Love and in Pain, my suggestion is get cracking on coding, because Leszek is also teaching some of our staff members how to code. So that can definitely be done. Once you start, you will never fail. That's it. Just do the first step. So Leszek, there will be some inspiration going on, because you're, apart from the business you're doing, you also leave some inspirational quotes on your Instagram. I know that you've had some mentorship programs going, but before we delve into that, let's go back to Flutter. And you said that there are some good sites, good places to start, and you need to learn Dart. What would you be your recommendations? What would you say is the best source for learning Dart?
The base source is the Flutter website and the open source made by Google. This is, I think, the first start for every young developer to came up with something, because this language, the Dart, is rapidly changing. It's showed up by Google 10 years ago, but as a Flutter library, it came up like a 3 or 2 years ago, and that's why a lot of small changes is made by Google. That's why the Flutter website is the best source for now to start making a first step. But we can also find out a really good crash course on the internet when we can make our first step also in Dart. But Dart is pretty easy language, because for my opinion is similar. For my opinion, when we coding the websites, or when we changing something on the WordPress using the HTML with JavaScript or something, we know a basic program. It's called a basic programming. This knowledge that we gather from websites, it's really easy to use using when we're learning the Dart language, because there is some similarity between the HTML and the Dart.
Okay, so why has Flutter become so important to you, Leszek?
For now, this is the really good solution to push the prototype on the market really quick without a huge cost. This is, I think, the first most important thing. When we'd like to check something really quick and we wouldn't involve a lot of people in our project, we can make it in the Flutter. There's also several frameworks before which I used for, but the Flutter is in that side win. And also when we configure our environment, Flutter is also really easy to start. We don't have to install 10,000 different libraries and etc. We have a one installer, click, 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 and that's it. We are in. That's really, I think, two most important things. There's also a lot of bad things about Flutter, but when we would like to develop something really quick, I think these two points are really important for me.
So what makes Flutter so unique?
I think from one side, the Google credibility. Why? Because they're trying to take over Android, making the Google Fuchsia like a next operating system, and they used Flutter as a base code base to develop the system. This made the credibility that the Flutter is something more important to them. Also easily adaptive to mobile web and desktop with single code base, because some tools require from us to create special scripts dedicated for each platform. Flutter is only one single code base, and that's really unique, let's say. They don't require any bridges and wrappers, only one code base. Also, good advantage from Flutter is a stable 60 frames per second. When we refreshing the screen display is always smooth and clear. And also maybe a hot reload feature. This is something a lot right now. A lot of frameworks have that too, but hot reload allow you to plug your phone to computer, and with some types of code in the terminal, you can run your application in the real time when you are coding something, and all the changes came up on your phone. That's really cool feature to really rapidly prototype something, rapidly developing the designs to the application, or checking something without creating a build, pushing to the device, and etc. I think these points are unique in Flutter. Also, we can talk about the widgets, because Flutter, when Google came up with a really good documentation, they also made a lot of ready to use widgets, which we can use building the login page, or the home screen, and etc. We have a lot of customs and ready-made widgets by Google, which we can easily implement to our code. This is something important, because other frameworks don't have a lot of tutorials. They have a small information how to use that, but not that much as Google provided to the users.
So what are widgets and what do they do? Maybe you could give us some real-time examples.
In Flutter, everything what we see on the screen, like buttons, images, also the background, are widgets. It's called the widget. The view of the screen completely depends upon the choice and the sequence of the widgets used to build the app. Flutter have a lot of widgets from the text to audio to video and a lot of more. We have also built-in widgets from the animations which can use in different situations. Widget is like a normal functions, but with a lot of attributes. For example, we can compare widgets to HTML code because it's pretty similar, let's say, when we would like to create a text. For example, we use a p meta plus something, and in Flutter is pretty similar. We also use the text widget and putting some attributes to that, and it's for developer perspective, it's really easy to push forward the projects. And also another thing is that all the widgets is follow the Google material design. We don't have to follow the regulations about the material designs because let's say Flutter somehow take care about that. That's also really good.
So what do you mean somehow takes care of that?
Somehow, because in some cases it's depending on the developer what kind of widget we can use. Because, for example, Flutter is one code base for all the platforms, let's say right now. But on the iOS, we have the different kind of pop-up widgets comparing to the Android. We can also use the same, using the same code, but in some cases, it depends what kind of type of widget developer is using in that scenario he made. That I thought.
Okay, so can you tell us what is that hot reload feature? What does it do?
Hot reload feature is really cool. For example, this is really good comparable to Flutter. When I was developing games using Unity, Unity is something really cool on the market because 10 years ago it's cool because we can run our games in the editor without building the game itself and creating the exe or APK file pushing to the device. Flutter go further because they allow you to test the application in real time on the device. You just plug your phone to the computer, configure using the special terminal commands, and after that, you can really build your application in real time. It's real time compiling the application on the device, and all the changes which I made on the code is rapidly displaying on the phone. That's the hot reload. Cool feature.
Okay, good. So, Leszek, why does the first Flutter app build take so long?
Why?
I guess the answer is because it's when you start with something, it requires quite a lot of work.
From one side, yes, and also the Dart language is something new because in other frameworks we use the basic language like C, Java, or C# to build something. Flutter came up with something new and require from the developer to learn something new. That's why we need to learn the Dart, how it's working, how the structure works between the widgets, and etc. In some cases there's some differences, but I think this is the answer for that question.
Cool. So some people are praising React Native. What would you say? Why would you choose Flutter more than React Native? Do you know the answer, or is there a medium solution, or does it depend on the knowledge of what somebody built?
React is like a big machine with everything, and React is based on the dependencies. There's a lot of small libs for everything, and these lib libraries made by developers, sometimes it's not working with our solution. When we import like thousands, let's say, small libraries, we can generate problems in our solution. Flutter is more simple and more resistant to the changes. That's why I think this is one of the comparable. Why Flutter is, from my opinion, better than React Native, but it's depending what kind of solution we would like to create it using the React or the Flutter, because in somehow Flutter is not good enough.
So we've got a question from Olga Vasina, and I guess she was inspired by your inspiration, your starting very young at 10 years old, building your first mobile app, or was it computer app? So
Computer.
is it best to learn Flutter first to develop games?
I heard from my brother that Flutter right now came up with the 2D library when you can easily create 2D games. I think, yeah, it's a good start for us because huge solutions for game developers like Unity or Unreal Engine is also cool, but in some small projects it's too enough to start with. Flutter probably is good in 2D, but it's also somehow related with the project which we'd like to create it, because maybe the problem with the Flutter at the moment is everything is expanding. Today we have something, and 1 or 2 months later we release something new. There's a lot of changes, also probably with the 2D library, but I think it's a good start to take the adventure using the 2D library in Flutter, just to learn something new.
Is it good changes, or is it improving the performance?
They're improving a lot with the performance. They fixing a lot of bugs. There's really good improvement in the Flutter. That's why I'm said that everything is expanding, because there's a lot of really good dependencies and libraries came up to Flutter, which also improve our rapid development, let's say.
Excellent. We have got a couple of questions. Olga was answered. Now, Agata Belon, what is the benefit of developing mobile first in Flutter, Leszek, as opposed to developing desktop first?
I think there's
Or
That's
is
good
there?
question. That's good question. Benefit of development mobile first. I think
Tricky.
freaking. I think the rapid development. This is the most important benefit with the mobile fields in Flutter, because we can easily start doing the project instead of configure everything. That's why I said it's a really important benefit with the development.
Excellent, Agatha. I hope it answers your niggling question. I would only add the fact that more and more people are using mobile phones than desktops. So I think there is a huge potential, lots of money to be made by taking mobile first seriously. Ernst Maga, hi Leszek. I see that attraction from Ernst. Do you have a particular link or site to share to learn Flutter?
I think there's two websites, the flutter.com and poop.dev. This is two sites. The first one is about made by Google about Flutter. There's a lot of tutorials and made up solutions which we can use. And second one is the huge database of the widgets, libraries, which we can import to our projects to expand our development process.
So, Ernst, I hope it answers your question, because I know you've been learning some things during the weekend, and I know that you've been learning a lot from Leszek during working days. Olga Vesina is following up on her question. Cool, thank you, Leszek. Great show, Beata. So is there a big computational factor to Flutter, aka is there a lot of tricky maths involved in coding with it?
No, that's the answer. Why? Because
we like that.
Yeah, I also like that because everything is based like a simple blocks. I always comparing programming to cooking, because in cooking we need to make some steps to deliver the food. In programming we do the same, and we have a two-type programming: the mathematical one, when we need to develop something, let's say invite the place for cook, and from the programming perspective you need to invite the process how to develop the application. And the second one is the using ready to use containers, widgets, and etc. to develop something. And Flutter came up with the second way. That's why it's really easy to learn. You need to just to understand how the application works from the beginning, and after that you pretty understand the overall process.
And then you watch it bloom. And
Yep.
Olga follows up. After all, Olga is an acronym for algo, but it looks like a life of simple blocks for my future coding then, LOL. There you go. We like simplicity, we like mobile, and Agata Bellon is also making a point of thank you, great point, Beata. It seems we all love our phones. Where I am watching PhD right now, in fact, so I am mobile first girl. Yes, you are. Amen to that, sister. So let's go into the question of what would you say, Leszek, are the best alternatives for Flutter?
This is hard questions, because it's depending about what kind of project we would like to develop. If it's a game, probably it will be Unity or Default or Unreal Engine. If it will be the app, it could be the native development using the language which came up with the platform. For example, native app approach refers to build the mobile application exclusively for a single platform, and single platform came up with own language. For example, in Android, we can use Java or Kotlin, and on iOS, we have a Swift. And lately, we have Objective-C. And we can learn the Kotlin, for example, learn how to programming using them. And after that, we need to also learn how to use additional libraries. The process is much more further comparing to Flutter. We can also use website application and create the website using frameworks and made the website in the way to give impression that it's running like a native application, but this is the website. And we have a hybrid approach also to use the frameworks like Flutter, React Native, and others to combine the elements from native application and the websites.
It sounds very overwhelming, frankly, Leszek, because you mentioned Unity for game, then you mentioned for app something else and
Yep.
something else. And do you mean that you learned all of these programming languages, or is it just understanding?
Unfortunately, all of them. When I was 10, I started learning the basic, and I made several games on the basic language. After that, I started learning C and C++ and working on my own game engine, but it's failed. But after that, Unity 2.6 came up, I think. Yeah, 2.6. I came up on the Windows, and I'm jump into Unity to start coding games using JavaScript. But Unity also came up with C#, and I'm start learning C#. According to the programming, is also really similar to cooking, because when we know how to cook, we can cook everything literally. In programming, is the same. When we learn how the overall idea works and how the process works, it's really easy to understand another language. When we learn C#, we can easily jump into something different. Also, the C# comparing to JavaScript or HTML is something different, but in somehow the overall process looks the same, and we need to look through that secret sauce.
I love your analogy to making first step as a cook, and I can still remember my first attempt to make a soup, and back in Poland all these years ago, when my mother tried to eat it, she was really appalled. But it's constant trying to make perfection, as you said. There are some bases for making a sauce, there are some bases for making a cake. Without certain ingredients and without trying, you cannot start. So
this secret, these small steps, we call it in programming the architecture. When we know the architecture, how to make a sauce, we can expanding with something new. This is one of the secret sauce things, but yeah.
Excellent. You can say that again. It's definitely quotable. I hope our production team is going to catch this quote. Marianne is asking you, Leszek. Hello, Leszek. How did you learn so many languages? Wow, at 10, I will better start at C. Thanks, Leszek.
I don't know. This is the answer. I don't know, because something inspired me inside that I can do it because I have to do, because I cannot produce my game. And okay, keep pushing.
Leszek, I think I know a secret sauce to your start. You had Unity in your brain plus ADHD, and then it works.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Marianne, good luck with acquiring these. We've got another question from Olga Vasina. I know that Marianne also wanted you to repeat what were the sources for starting. So we know that there was Flutter to start learn Flutter, but also there is another source for learning.
pub.dev. This is the website when you could download and import libraries to Flutter.
There's so it's PAP, yes?
PAB.
PAB. Okay. Yep. Good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Leszek, for reminding us. Olga, is there a coherent relationship between all these programming languages, like, say, the Romance spoken language, French, Italian, Spanish, even Romanian, or are they very disparate? Olga is setting a challenge for Leszek tonight.
I think it's something different. It's something different because the spoken language, it's a spoken language. From the programming, we need to understand the overall process, let's say, how the computer works. Yeah. This is the differences because in the speaking language we have a different. We can compare French to Italian or French to Polish, but everything could be different. In the computer language, there's the same basis, like how computer read our code, and all the languages need to compile everything in the same that computer need to understand that, and this is one of the relationship, but I don't think so there is a relationship between French and C++.
So there is no relationship, but some bases are.
You can use variables in your language, that's good, but in overall there's no comparison.
Okie doke. Let's ask you another question, Leszek, about this adventure with programming. You said that you're teaching your brother. I know that you also have got a mini Leszek up your sleeve. So, what is the future holding for your family? I mean, your little son is how old?
Right now 4.
4. So he's got another 6 years to learn to create
To
his
start.
first.
Yeah.
Or did you already start?
No. In somehow yes, because there's a lot of right now toys for 4 and 5 years old kids to learn the programming basis, like using a small blocks. You can teach the small robots how to make a path on the board. That's really good, and my son love it. This is, I think, the first step with the programming. But for the real programming, I inspire him to make a first step, because the world is expanding and the programming is something as math or biology, and that's everyone need to know to integrate in your life.
And everybody's using it without even knowing that they are doing it. So Leszek, my personal ask is to actually write down for us what are the starter program for your kid, because we have got some viewers who would love to have some resources for their little kids to play as they go and think that they are playing while they are actually learning. Agatha is asking another question. So, what are the best ways to teach a kid programming Raspberry Pi or straight to Flutter, Leszek?
As I mentioned, there's different ways. What is the benefits when we program something? When we focus on developing games, we trying to understand how the games looks, how it works, what kind of devices they use, and etc. Raspberry is also another thing to internet devices, Internet of Things devices, and they use different approach to provide something. And there, when we compare Flutter to Raspberry, there's a differences, because Flutter is somehow the Dart language. This is something cool news. Is primarily developed by Google for internet devices, like Raspberry, like small timers in our bedroom, to integrate the device with the Internet of Things. But from my perspective, I don't know how to do the stuff for the Raspberry Pi, and what is the straight to the Flutter. It's hard to say how to say that, because I never developed something on Raspberry. But I hope there's big differences between Flutter and Raspberry. But the Dart, as I know, is made up basically primarily for that kind of devices.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please chip in. Leszek is here to inspire us, to give us positivity hacks, to deliver positivity hacks, and with his brains, I can assure you there's going to be plenty. Erms is mentioning that she only has got knowledge of 3 languages. Now I understand why you're good in programming language. As for me, I feel dizzy with 3 languages, which I didn't master until now. Well, Erms, I would say you already speak English, you speak Tagalog, and there is many more to come. So definitely you're spending your time wisely, not flicking through TikTok on weekends. So we can see a great potential, and Leszek is there to help as always. Marianne is saying, hi Leszek again, I better buy blocks for my nephew as first step. Thank you, Leszek, again. Definitely blocks, building some Lego blocks or whatever it is. Make
Lego
sure
Monster.
that you're... There you go. Leszek had some cool gifts for Christmas for his little one, mini Leszek. So, Leszek, let me ask you, your adventure with programming started quite early. What are the real-time developments? What did you develop? Is there any apps we can check that are already online, or is there anything that we can see how you made it?
There's like let's say thousands of projects because it's funny because I always say that I developed probably the application for maybe all industries, but there's a lot of website made up by me, also a lot of mini games and mobile applications, especially using the augmented reality tools. Right now I'm trying to move with fintech. Also, I have a small journey with funnel and charge industry to develop the ready-to-use solutions for the company management. There's a lot of projects and a lot of projects and such of different experience in it. And I think that ability allow me to be the better producer right now.
I definitely attest to that. That's the reason we are together in Hansa Tech. We've got first question. We've never heard Stephen joining us. Stephen, lovely to see you. It's lovely to see another man supporting women on IT. What's the most downloaded app you created?
I have a 3 or 4 years journey developing the augmented reality solutions for events. And one of our clients is McDonald's. And for one event in Saudi Arabia, we made a special application for them. And we have around 1 and 2 million users on it.
Wow, excellent. That's a very nice number, Leszek. I wanted to go back to the beginnings. I know that you had some problems with people trying to hack your programs or take it over, not paying for it. How do you cope with that, Leszek? Because you started very young, created your company very young, and now you're actually learning some legal background work. So I wonder, what would be your number one lesson to somebody who is aiming to become an independent developer or a software house?
First of all, from the developer, jump into the ocean, because when you jump to the ocean, you have a lot of problems to which came up, and you need to solve them. But from earning money, don't do it. You need to create small steps and create a own process, because somehow you need to specialize on something to be more confident in what you are doing. And you are learning. Every client, there's another process, and every client is your playground for learning and getting a feedback. And you need to gathering that feedback, and based on that, you make another move.
So, in other words, small steps lead to big accomplishments.
Exactly.
Leszek, it's a very good lesson to everyone who is wondering whether to start. Definitely don't start big, because you're gonna fall big. So Leszek can attest to that, because we had a discussion about, for example, how somebody stole your name of the company, which was very groovy. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there's period in my life that when I not have a company, but I have idea, someone is took over my name, my company name, group name, let's say. This is my 15 15 years ago. I have idea for the organization. We developed the organization and make the first 3-4 events. This organization is really grow up really fast, and someone in the industry saw that someone is making that on the university, and he have a really similar name. And Polish regulations are pretty strange, because when you register a trademark, you just taking over someone. And this is happening to me. This is like a lesson. But I changed the name, start the same thing again, using the different name.
So, lesson learned. You
Yep.
have to definitely do your due diligence and learn about how to create a company or create a name, how to register a name or register a trademark.
This is something that a lot of people mm, forget from the beginning, that okay, we made up the application, we made up something, but a lot of people don't look through the regulations, the agreements. I don't have a knowledge at that time about that, and someone is taking over. That's the chess, the law chess, I say always. Something is made a move. I lost one figure. That's it. But I also in the game.
So you stayed in the game, and you could move further with a
Exactly.
new company. STRIXSPACE is a new company. I mean, how many years have you been in the STRIXSPACE
6.
environment? 6 years. Fabulous. One question that we always ask, especially given the fact that our target is female entrepreneurs, female leaders, what advice would you give them to help their career or start an entrepreneurial journey?
Hard questions. First of all, I think you need to find a support group of the women in similar situations, let's say, because I saw that 10 or 20 years ago, there's no that kind of advantages that you can go into cafe or somewhere and to learn the stories about the business side for someone. this support group are really incredible because it helps a lot making another steps. You can learn something new. You can inspire yourself. I saw also that many women today are unsure of themselves. Often they will not start their dream because they are afraid of something, probably the acceptance by the environment. And however, nothing builds our self-confidence like a created project and our dream dream come true. But most important advice is to fail fast, fail early, ask for help. If you don't know something, just ask. And when you go through many iterative process as entrepreneurs, you need to ask about help, about questions of something. Make questions, make a lot of questions, because that credibility save you time in the future and save your resources.
So, none of us are able to achieve success without some help along the way. Is there a particular person that you are grateful towards who helped you get to where you are, whether it's entrepreneurial journey or whether it's programming languages?
Probably in my life, there's 4 stages, let's say, the 4 important moments, which shaped me a lot. The first one, when I was 10, my dad helped me a lot with the programming because he's also a programmer. This is my first pushing force, let's say. A second one is the junior high school, because I have a really small school where teachers notice that I have a little bit talent and try to help me without spreading my wings. And I have a time for learning, but I have also time to expanding. And thanks to that, I won many national contests and competitions that's like pushing me to the next level. After that, I came up to university, but here I understand that, okay, I know that path, which we are learning right now, and I'm find the helping group like Mission to Run in Torun, where I realistically exchange my business experience and expert advice. Is also keep pushing me forward. And also the fourth step is the ability to rise from own failure really rapidly, quickly, because many people right now nowadays give up. And I think this is much important skill which I developed that time in my period, that allow me to push forward myself despite the circumstances.
Well, I can definitely say, because just last week I said my farewell to my daughter who was visiting to beautiful Valletta in Malta. And definitely this younger generation is constantly seeking for instant gratification. That's something that doesn't come easy, especially when it comes to programming. You have to learn, fail, and repeat. And it's always the case of trying until you achieve what you are trying to achieve. What is the number one book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I read it before I started my career?
There's no one book. I have a thousand of them. It's also a difficult question because as a young developer, I read a lot of technological books before I started working on the programmer. My dad looked through the internet that time and okay, that's book learning somehow how to make your first game, but the first game is how to display the image on the screen. That's it. And you read 200 pages how to do that. That's time. That's like 15 years ago, 17 years ago, 18. Okay, 18. But this is my first steps. I read a lot of developer books. Right now, we have a lot of online documentation, which we can really easy look through. But according to books, I have 5 or 6 which stuck in my memory. One of them is written by Jakub Bączek, A Million Under 30. It shows the 4 areas of life which you need to fulfill to earn your first million. If you jump from another area, you can always jump back. And if you don't feel 4 of them, you cannot earn 1 million. Another one is the business DNA, also made by the 2 Polish entrepreneurs, Anna Urbańska and Paweł Jerząbek. This is like the Bible of running a company from the practical explanations and site. This is something which I don't have to when I start working on my first company. This is like a knowledge which I really missed, but also I think there's 2 books, also the 0 to 1, Peter Thiel, describing how to build companies based on the complete new ideas, and one more maybe about the chaos from Gleck, that introduced the concept and the early development, the chaos theory, to the public. It also explains how chaos somehow is related to your life, because everything in your life, everything what is happening for something.
For a reason. Leszek, it's been very challenging for our English-speaking viewers to look up some of the Polish books you mentioned. I hope they will go internationally, but definitely Peter Thiel is the one that is available everywhere. Are you working on any exciting new project right now?
Yes. Yes, because there's a lot of that kind of challenges, let's say, not projects, for my particular view. Right now, I'm not have a how to say it. I never looked through that automation could change the life. Like 5 years ago, everyone said that, let's teach automation, right now, I'm from 1 year, I'm trying to automate my process in life and also in the university. I have ability to, as a president of student government, to automating some process using Integromat and Airtable. I also constantly developing my child, the University of Games, providing ready-made solutions for young game developers. We also, together with Beata, starting a new startup with the area of Web3 and blockchain. And also, I have a lot of micro products when I was mentoring how to do next step, how to move, make a next step, how to look further with something. And I'm, as a mentor from technical side, I mentor some micro projects.
That's really exciting. Your unity with ADHD in your brain is definitely getting lots of stimulus. Leszek, is there a number 1 life lesson quote that you live by right now, or in the past, or in the future?
I've lived like an entire life. There's a quote: "Do you want to sell sweetened water from the last? Do you want to sell sweetened water for the rest of your life, or would you rather change the world?" This is the a quote made by Steve Jobs said to Scully while trying to hire him from Pepsi. And I can interpret it like this, that shows no matter what shit we sit in, there is always some other source that can pull us up. And I believe that in life, there's a certain sources in which we stuck, like Scully stacks, and it's easier for us to swim in that source, like in Coca-Cola, than to get out from them, to move another step, to jump into another source. That's my interpretation of that quote.
To jump into Fanta or whatever it might be. Leszek, let's imagine the pandemic is over and you can invite any person in the world to have private breakfast with them anywhere in the world. Who would you invite and where would it be?
You know, pandemic shows to me that everyone is inspired by the great personalities. For example, I lose 40 kilograms when pandemic is start until now, and it showed me up that a lot of people is inspired by the people also like me, that okay, you lose that kilograms, how you can do that. But as a people, we don't see the we don't see everyone behind us, they journey with that. And I believe that you need to focus on the everyday life, because they especially made the occasions and inspiration for you to make a product, to deliver something new. Because when we inspire for by the great personalities, we always look their final effect. We don't see the overall way how they went, and that's why I would like to invite my friend, which whom I know for over 70 years. Unfortunately, in the last years, our lives has been saturated with work, and we don't see each other. We always talk via phone, but we don't have a time to keep it up and talk 1 or 2 days together.
And your friend is?
My friend is Piotr, and also it will be fun to stop maybe somehow somewhere in the mountains of the Switzerland for the morning breakfast. I don't know. I love that views there, and also I love that that quiet.
So, and Leszek, that's really lovely. Piotr, what's his surname, please? So we can mention him. Woźnicki, Piotr Woźnicki. This is a dream of Leszek. He's going to have a private breakfast somewhere in the mountains of Switzerland. I'm sure it's going to be lovely. I wish to hear what is happening in that breakfast, because you mentioned 17 years you did not see each other face to face.
We teach together in junior school. And we also work together. I inspire him to start also programming and computer graphics. That's a lot of journey together we came up. Yeah.
So old friends reunion, even though you live in Poland, you never have a chance to catch up. Leszek, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, as well as have lovely comments and questions from Steven Camargo, In Love and in Pain, Olga Wasina, Agata Bellon, Erminia Maga, Marian Madera, and just a gentle reminder to join us next week. We are going to talk about what Leszek just mentioned, which was the positive outcome he would get from groups. And one of that formation of group or inspiration you could get is by creating your own mastermind group or joining a mastermind group. If you're interested, please join us next Wednesday at 6 p.m. CET. If you focus on positives, the positives get more positive. That's it from episode 45 of PhD Livestream. Thanks to our lovely guest, Leszek Król. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Women on It and turn on notifications to be alerted once a video has been released. Tell people and they may forget, show them, they may remember, but involve them and they will understand. Leszek and also Erms can attest to that, and we have got some other people in our team who were shown by Leszek what to do, how to do programming languages or automation, whatever it was, Integromat. There was lots of interesting names being pushed, lots of interesting quotations. As always, our positivity quote comes from Positive Thinking only, and our sometimes you need a little crisis to get your adrenaline flowing, to help you realize your true potential. As Leszek said, he really did not go to where he is at the moment without trying and failing and trying again, and sometimes being even tricked by other people when it comes to names or businesses. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, as Maya Angelou says. Today is your day to hack the future. Hack the positivity you want. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you very much.